day. It was the summer of 1991. My first four churches were in Mannington. And always have had a heart for the folks of Mannington. And I was there for 11 months and then left, but always felt for some reason I needed to be back there. And so the end of summer, beginning of fall of 2010, we started a Sunday evening service in Mannington. And Mark and Colleen were part of that crew, and we were there for, I don't know, well over a year, I think we were there. And Colleen had, and I'll let her tell all the specifics, but she had, No, I'm just going to do real short. So she had a food pantry there, and I was going through one of those goofy Kevin Kane periods of my life where I was giving all my stuff away and stuff. And she invited us down to the food pantry. So my friend Nathan Colombo and I, we drove down there, and I had like bags and bags of clothes. Don't tell my parents I gave so many clothes away. It was crazy. And then we packed the boxes of food that day too. And it was just overwhelming. And then I told my mom about it, and she came down with me, and we packed food, and it was fantastic. And then we found out that they were packing lunch boxes for Blackshear Elementary. And Colleen said, well, you guys should do that too. And so we started the lunchbox program here, and it has just been fantastic. I think we've done it for 4 years now up at the school, maybe 5. Don't quote me on that, but that's the thing. When we go in there to Skyview and we see those kids, I mean, Daniel, you're there every single day. And like this kid, James was upstairs with me this week. And this kid came up to me and he goes, I haven't been here for 2 weeks, so I haven't had my lunchbox. You got to make sure I get my lunchbox this week. And I was like, buddy, we will take care of it. We will have that lunchbox there. The one day, the little kid said to me, she walked up and she goes, hey, Mr. Phillip, man. And I was like, what are you talking about? And Leslie Brooks said, you fill up her lunchbox every week. She knows you as Mr. Phillip, man. And so it's really cool. But, I just think every time we're up there, all those kids, and Colleen, it's because you are obedient to the Lord. And I just thank God. If you want to know about what it means to be a missionary, learn from this lady. She is a missionary for Jesus Christ in Mannington, West Virginia and beyond. Would you make Colleen Morris welcome?
Are we on? Okay. Like Kevin said, my name is Colleen Morris, and I am from Mannington, born there, raised there, graduated from Mannington High School, as did my husband, Mark, sitting back there. He is a pharmacist and owner of Red Dot Pharmacy in Mannington, and I am director of the Mannington Food Pantry and Clothes Closet. We have 3 kids, 2 boys and a girl that we adopted, and I have 4 grandchildren. So I feel like I should tell you a little bit about the pantry before I get started. They say it takes a village to raise a child. Well, it takes a community to run a food pantry. The idea of a food pantry in Mannington came from 2 people, Ed and Sally Allen. And Ed had retired from the Army, and they had lived all over the world. And they wanted someplace quiet where they could raise their kids. And they found it in Mannington, on a farm in Flat Run on the outskirts of Mannington is where they ended up. And they hadn't lived there very long till they saw there was a real need in the area. And they started giving out food and clothing out of their basement. And they did that for several years. And they, after that, they decided they better move closer to town where people could have more of an access to them. They moved into the basement of the Methodist Church and did that for a few years. They became the Mannington Food Pantry and Clothes Closet at that time, and the Ministerial Association of Mannington became their board of directors. Now, that's a group of all the ministers in the Mannington area, of which Kevin was a part of when he was coming up to Blackshear, which is another whole story, right?
Yeah,
Right, that's another whole story. But in 1986, 811 East Main Street became the permanent home of the Mannington Food Pantry. And it is actually the perfect situation. The Ministerial Association bought that building, gave it to the food pantry. We rent the upstairs to Wonderland Daycare. And you can see in the picture there, Wonderland is up above, we're down below. And they pay us rent. So all the money that's donated goes to buy food because the rent pays for the utilities. So we can actually say 100% of donations go to buy food. Not very many nonprofits can say that anymore if you've ever looked them up online. So it works out perfectly. Their mission then and still is today is to reduce hunger through community cooperation, making the best possible use of all available resources and to treat all with respect and courtesy. Now, I started volunteering at the pantry in 1990. In 1986, we had adopted 3 children from the southern part of the state, ages 5, 6, and 8. And I continued to teach a few years after we did the adoption, and then I decided to be a stay-at-home mom. So Ed Allen had been to church talking about the food pantry and volunteering, and I thought, that's something that I could do. So the kids were in school, so on Wednesdays I started volunteering, and I loved it. Sadly, Sally passed away in 1995. Do I need to put this in my pocket, maybe? You want to walk around? Okay. Sally passed away in 1995, and Ed passed away in 2000. And their daughter, Annie, ran the pantry for a while. And then in 2005, she told the Ministerial Association they needed to start looking for a new director. They called and asked me if I wanted that job. And I said, I don't know. I'm going to have to think about that. That is a big job. I mean, I know everything from this side of the counter, filling the orders, but I knew nothing about that side of the counter, the paperwork, the filing, the grants, the reports. I knew nothing about that part. And I said, I'm going to have to think about this. And they said, well, take the weekend and think about it. And so I prayed and hoped that God would give me an answer to that question. We had taken my grandson, Austin, to a Pirate game that night on Saturday, and it was a night game. We were walking back the car, and we were holding hands and walking, piddling. My husband says we piddle. He says, you are the best piddlers I know. But, we just enjoy each other's company. He's 5 years old. I mean, we were holding hands and walking, and we saw a man up front of a building sitting down with a bucket in front. And I asked my grandson, I said, do you want to put some money in that bucket? And he said, okay. So I gave him the money. We walked over, still holding hands. He drops the money in the bucket. The man looks up, grabs my grandson right by the wrist. Now, I felt a shock go from his arm clear up to me. And in a real deep voice, the man said, God bless you. He let go, and we walked on and didn't say anything about it till we got to the car. My grandson looked at me and he said, Grandma, is that man hungry? I said, I don't know. Well, Grandma, are those the only clothes he has to wear? Because they look dirty. And I said, Austin, I do not know the answers to those questions. Then he said something that changed my life. Grandma, if I could, I would help that man. And he smiled at me. I knew right then that God had spoken to me through the only voice that he knew I'd listen to, and that was my grandson. So Monday morning, I called him and told him I would take the job. Little did I know where God was going to lead me at the time. I'd seen a lot of changes at the pantry. When I first started volunteering, we served 100 families a month. Now we serve 350 families a month. We haul anywhere from 10 to 14,000 pounds of food a month from the Mountaineer Food Bank. The other food that we have is donated or bought with donations from the churches, from organizations, from clubs, from individuals. We also give out clothing and household items. Oh, sorry, Nathan, you're doing good. Clothing and household items. And this year we had our first coat, boot, and hat giveaway. We gave coats to 216 adults and children. We give turkeys to our clients for Thanksgiving. We give toys to the children, and we give Christmas baskets. And this year we had enough money to buy Easter hams. So that was something extra this year. In 2009, we started our backpack program called HUSH, H-U-S-H, Help Us Stop Hunger, at our local elementary school. My nephew, Scott Morris, was the principal at Blackshear at the time, and I was just talking to him, and he said, "Did you ever notice how those kids come in Monday morning and they act like they're starved? They eat like 3 and 4 servings." And I said, I just saw a segment on 60 Minutes about a church that sent home backpacks for the kids that are at risk of going hungry over the weekend. I said, "Do you think maybe we could do something like that here?" He said, "Sure." He said, "Write a letter, explain the program and put down there, I think my child would like to participate." And he said, "We'll look over it and talk about it and we'll go from there." And I said, "Okay." So I wrote the letter and I took it down. I gave it to him. I said, "When you have time, look at it." And he said, "Okay." So I didn't hear from him for a couple weeks. So I went down and I said, "Hey, Scott, what'd you think about that letter?" He said, "Oh, it's great." And I said, "Well, what do you think? Should we, add something to it, or what do you think?" And he goes, "I told you it was great. I sent it home." I said, "What?" He goes, "I sent it home to the kids, with the kids." And I said, "Why'd you do that? I thought we were just going to talk about it." And he said, "Look," and he handed me a folder that had about that many papers in it. And he said, and they were all positive. He said, "Here," like that, and he hands them to me. And I said, "Geez, I guess we better get started making some plans." We hadn't even talked to the Board of Education or the superintendent or anybody. And I thought, we're going to be in so much trouble. But we wrote a letter to the board and talked to the superintendent, and they both said it was fine, and sent a letter to the teachers, and then sent another letter home. And we serve about 100 students a week for 32 weeks during the school year. And then over the summer, we give them out at our food pantry. They can come in and get a box of nutritious snacks that last about 3 weeks. So, because their parents only come in once a month, so that's about all they'll bring their kids in. So the backpack ladies, that's what they call the ladies that fill the backpacks, and the ladies love that name. They come in the door and they go, "Hey, it's the backpack ladies," and they wave, and smile. But they're there every Friday at 9:30, and they clean the backpacks and fill them, and they pray over them. They pray over those backpacks every week. And we used to try to touch all the backpacks, put our feet out and touch them all as we prayed. But then we got so many, we couldn't do that anymore. So we just put them in the center, and we just make a big circle around them and pray over the backpacks. I guess that's where I met Kevin, where I got to know him, was through the backpack program. As he said, he came to Mannington on Sunday evenings, and I guess Teresa Michael had told you that we did the backpack program, and you asked me to come talk about it. And I knew you wanted to get involved. And we met at your house a couple times, and I went with you when you went to Skyview, and we talked to the principal and the teachers there. And it wasn't long after that till your backpack program, The Source, was started. So in February of 2012, we started looking for a place to open a soup kitchen in Mannington. Our clients were coming in and making comments about how the food that was cooking at the daycare smelled good and that they were hungry. My friend Nancy Michael and I had been meeting on Tuesdays at the Christian church in the prayer room to pray on Tuesdays, and we were talking about it, and I said, what do you think about opening a soup kitchen in town? I said, even if it's only open one day a week. And she said, well, it sounds like a pretty good idea. So we sat down, the two of us, and we made a list of about 100 people that we thought had the same heart that we had for serving others. So for the next 4 weeks, we met and we prayed over that list. And every week we'd mark some off. I mean, nothing bad, but she's got small kids. She doesn't have time to volunteer, or she takes care of her mother, or he's got a job. And we marked them off, and when the 4 weeks was up, we had 9 people. 9 people left. And we called them, and they all accepted to be on the steering committee. Proverbs 15:22 says, without counsel, plans fail. With many advisors, they succeed. I guess Nancy and I didn't really understand how much the city of Mannington was against the soup kitchen. We had plans in a building that had been empty for about 10 years. It was an old doctor's office. It's the blue part you see up there. And we made a presentation to the city council and told them what we had planned. Most of the city council members were against it. They wanted us to travel around to the different churches and fix lunch. And we knew our clients, and that was never going to work. They didn't want those people hanging around. They didn't want those people to be the first ones that people saw when they came into town. Those people? Really? Those people? Now that got underneath my skin like nothing else. And I'll tell you what, Nancy and I have never been ones to sit back and not say anything. But I'll tell you, we both heard a voice that night. God's voice, not an audible voice, but a voice inside that said, sit quietly. I've got this. This is my fight. So Nancy and I didn't say much more after our presentation. We just sit there quietly. Their biggest concern was this. What are you going to do when a carload of people from out of town show up and want to eat at your soup kitchen? We feed them. Well, what are you going to do when the neighbor's grandkids are out in the yard playing and those people are hanging around front? Well, the food pantry is underneath a daycare. We've never had any problems. I mean, it was just silly questions like that. They decided not to vote that night to give us the city business license and sent us to the zoning commission. So we met the next week with the zoning commission. Romans 12:12, rejoice in confident hope, be patient in trouble, and keep on praying, which we did. The zoning commission said, you're zoned for business, sent us back to city council. So the next week we met with city council again, and after much discussion, much heated discussion I might say, and strong opposition from the neighbors across the street, finally the code enforcer stood up and said, well, we can't stop them. If we try, we're going to have a big lawsuit. Lawsuit? Who said anything about a lawsuit? We didn't say anything about a lawsuit. But the petition passed that night. God broke down the barriers, and our project on the soup kitchen started the next week. We had no idea that those 9 people we had chosen to be on that committee were talented in other areas other than their jobs. I mean, they worked in the mines, they worked in the bank, they worked at Westinghouse Electric, they were teachers, they were preachers. We had no idea that they were also talented in plumbing, in electrical work, in woodworking, in organizing, in PR work, in sewing. We had no idea. Well, local businessman gave us the building. Well, he said he'd lease us the building. And we said, for how much? He said, $1 a year. I said, we'll take it. But there was only one catch. There were wildcats living in the attic. So, at least we didn't have a mouse problem because we had all those cats. So, but we chased the cats out. The businessman put a new tin roof on the building, poured us a cement parking lot in the back, and poured a sidewalk and straightened the front of it out so it was all even. They remodeled the inside. They reused and recycled about everything. We had very little to purchase. We did a lot of PR work, though. We went around to a lot of the churches and talked about what we were doing, how we were going to open the soup kitchen. And pretty soon the donations started coming in, and grants bought new windows and stoves. We had clubs that donated ice makers and the dishwasher, which everybody loves because it washes dishes in 2 minutes. And they had trays, silverware, cups, glasses, refrigerators, even triple bowl sinks were donated. So I'll tell you one thing. When God says, hey, let's start a soup kitchen, he moves, and he moves fast. He moves fast. In 3 months, exactly 3 months from the time we started, the Cross was opened. CROSS, Community Reaching Out Serving Soup. Although we don't always have soup. But yes, it has a double meaning to all of us. Our motto is meet us at the cross. We currently serve 75 to 80 individuals a week. Today we had 89. But the sign above our serving window says, all are welcome to our table. No plastic chairs or tables. We wanted it to feel like home. Our clients don't get to go to restaurants because, for one, they don't have the money to go. And two, they're not dressed the best. And we wanted them to come in and sit down, and we wanted to serve them. So sometimes that's not always good because sometimes they don't want to leave. But that's okay. This year we added a new addition. Can you back up? That's the new addition. It was added this year, and it will increase our dining room area from 24 to 48. So in 2015, we opened a baby pantry called Children of the Cross. And it is housed in one of the back rooms of the soup kitchen. Since we opened, we've seen around 45 mothers, and we give out beds, mattresses, car seats, high chairs, all the big stuff that a baby needs when it comes home. And again, it's run by volunteers, and it runs off donations. We do use gently used items if they're up to date, and we use most of the other stuff's bought new with donations. So what is my job as a director? One of my many jobs is to schedule workers. We have over 100 workers, 100 volunteers working in these 4 programs. And I tell you, sometimes it gets very difficult trying to figure out who's working at one place and then not schedule them to work someplace else. It takes a team of us to try to get things scheduled. That's a job in itself right there. But we all have different backgrounds. We all go to different churches. We all have different ideas. But we all have the same goal, and that is to serve others. We work together as a team. Has this job changed my life? Absolutely. I love this job. And even though I don't get paid, I've been blessed in so many ways, so many ways. I love the people I work with. I love the clients. And I thank God every day for putting me in this position. I found out that people won't listen to you if they're hungry. And people won't listen to you if they don't trust you. And once you get that, then you can talk to them about the gospel, and they'll listen. Well, this year, let me tell you, we have a priest that is a busboy. And we have a gardener that is a Baptist preacher. And it's not unusual to find 3 or 4 ministers at the soup kitchen every week. Now, they don't preach, but they sit down, they eat with people, they talk with people, they'll pray with them if they're asked, and they'll answer questions. Easter Sunday, we had 5 of our clients come to the community Easter sunrise service for the first time. So, and that's a start. That's a start. You know, I've seen how a box of food can help a family make it through the end of the month. And I've seen how a backpack can make a small child smile from ear to ear. And I've heard the growl of a hungry stomach quieted with a delicious hot meal. And I've seen angels disguised as everyday, ordinary people serving others with love and compassion. Now, who could ask for more than that? You know, we have to believe that there isn't a problem in this world that we can't solve with God's help. The hardest thing is convincing people that if we all work together, we can be part of the solution. Each of us has something to give. God gave all of us a talent. I have 2 brothers that come into the soup kitchen, and they give a donation when they can. And they always put it in an envelope and seal it and put it in the donation box. But on the back of it is either a scripture or a little saying on the back. And the one that has stuck to me is, if each man would give a thread, the poor man would have a shirt. So when it comes to helping, there are no such thing as little things. It takes each of us to make a difference in all of us. It's the greatest mistake to think that because you can do a little, that you can't contribute. Because little things make big things. I'm going to end it with this from Mother Teresa. I used to pray that God would do this or do that, but now I pray that he'll guide me to do whatever it is I can do. I used to pray for answers, but now I pray for strength. I used to believe that prayer changes things, but now I know that prayer changes us, and then we can change things. Hey, thank you very much. I appreciate your attention tonight.